You are proposing a 26% cut to ATF for fiscal year 2026, as well as a 4.4% cut to DEA. So you're going to merge the two agencies together, and then you're going to shortchange their resources, so neither one of them will be able to do the job that they have been designed to do.
We will not be having ATF agents go to the doors of gun owners in the middle of the night asking them about their guns, period. They will be out on the streets with DEA, guns and drugs.
How many are gone?
Ed, it's all over the news. You know, the current administration's talking about changes. Pam Bondi mentioned rolling up the DEA and the ATF. I've already gone on the record saying, you know, maybe we could just abolish the ATF and let other agencies do what it is they're doing, and maybe we wouldn't have the overreach. This, and I will admit, I'm not as up to speed on this as some others, but it's out there and people are talking about it. What have you been hearing? What are you thinking as we're looking at maybe a reshuffling of government agencies, specifically law enforcement agencies, in the face of, let's just say, issues?
Well, anybody who's worked in a large organization before understands that what has been bundled can be unbundled. Right. Remember, like ATF, those were T-men.
Yeah.
That old Big Bopper song, and yes, it was a Big Bopper song before it was a George Jones song. G-men, T-men. That means tax men.
Yeah. The Treasury Office.
The Treasury Office.
Yeah.
That was a tax matter. BATFE was a tax matter until 2003. Yeah. So if we can, and I understand a lot of people have an immediate and insurmountable negative reaction to the concept of repealing the NFA just because they don't want machine guns sold at Walgreens. Okay, let's set machine guns aside. Let's just say we're going to get rid of the NFA except for machine guns. It's not what I would want, but let's just say short barrel rifle, short barrel shotgun, pen gun, cane gun, all that other stuff. It's a gun.
Suppressors, yeah.
Suppressors. Yeah. It's a gun or an accessory. It's over the counter. Okay, well, that would take a lot off of the ATF's plate, you would hope, right?
Mm-hmm. Did you know we have a secret gun giveaway going on right now? You can enter for free, but it ends really soon. Just click the link in the description below to reveal which brand new gun you could win.
X would happen with machine guns, whatever. But otherwise, yeah, these seem a lot like tax matters to me, where like bootlegging, moonshining, that's tax.
Yeah.
Cigarette smuggling, if I'm buying cigarettes down in Virginia and driving them up by the truckload to New York City to sell them there as loosies in some bodega, that's a tax matter. Explosives is different, but that feels very FBI to me.
Yeah.
Like, why don't we, like, okay, so some lunatic blew up a building. You're calling the FBI anyway. And you can take, I'm not one of these people who constantly craps on everybody who's ever worked at the ATF. There are some, especially in their arson and explosives unit, there are some extremely experienced, very, very highly educated and excellent investigators that I don't want just fired. Those aren't the guys shooting dogs.
Yeah.
Those are the men and women who are actually trying to solve crimes. Don't fire them. Have them work for the FBI.
Yeah.
And if we're going to get rid of the FBI, let's have something else then. Look, we may be at the bad idea phase of this. We do this all the time in photo shoot meetings.
Yeah.
Where I'm going to throw out an idea that isn't a good idea, but it can hopefully get somebody else to have a good idea.
Get people talking about it.
How about we get 3 big wood barrels like you see at the grocery store and fill them each with ammo? That's a bad idea for a cover shot.
Yeah.
But it starts people thinking in a specific way that can maybe get us to a good idea.
And as we start talking about disbanding or merging or moving government agencies around, maybe as that happens, then we start getting rid of some of this interagency rivalry.
Sure.
And like you said, yeah, the bomb guys roll over into the FBI and we just have an FBI explosives division or something like that with all of that expertise over there without all of the arguing over who's better and whose jurisdiction it is and who gets to do this and who gets to do that. Because there are some things, quite honestly, that we need to investigate and that we want to prevent and things like that. And then there's the things that is going to get us the letters. People, you, Mr. Michalowski, are in favor of the ATF. I heard it. I saw it on video.
And I understand that what they're mad about, among many other things and many deceased dogs, is that since undercover law enforcement work is hard, it at least sometimes feels like the ATF would rather sell a mentally disabled man a machine gun and then arrest him for illegal possession of a machine gun than go out and try to infiltrate an organization that is manufacturing illegal machine guns. It can at least seem that way. I'm not saying that's all they do.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it can at least seem like they spend most of their time shooting dogs and arresting the mentally ill, rather than, I would infiltrate that criminal organization that moves so much dope and manufactures so many illegal machine guns, but they won't let me in. So I'm going to have to go do something else. It's the speed trap of federal law enforcement.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's all they do. I'm just saying sometimes some people think it can feel like that's all they do.
And I will say, for the record, that all of the bad stuff that they do gets more press than any of the good stuff that they do, as it should, because we should not have law enforcement agencies at any level running rampant over our rights. We should not. And there is a place for a discussion of what's the difference between our rights and then sort of a national responsibility to provide some sort of safety in law enforcement, stuff like that. I'm not going to be one of those guys who laws keep us safe. They don't. We keep ourselves safe, and we do the right things to keep ourselves safe, and it is our responsibility and our right to do that. So I don't want to look right at the camera. I don't want a whole bunch of letters and comments saying that I'm some sort of, pro-ATF, anti-rights guy. That's not what I'm talking about. We're having this discussion, and like Ed said, maybe we're in the bad idea phase of this, but we're talking about what could happen, maybe what we think should happen. But again, that's just like your opinion, man.
Right.
It
all feels like tax matters to me. Those NFA items have tax stamps.
Right.
It was passed as a tax because they knew it was unconstitutional back in 1934. That's why they wrote it up this way. So hand it back over to whoever you're going to have collecting taxes. Same as you do with chewing tobacco and liquor and everything else. Yeah, we're going to have taxes, whatever. You can have who was the guy in Hollywood who read some book that made him think he didn't have to pay his taxes? You can think you don't have to pay your taxes, but believe me, you have to pay your taxes.
Right.
We can change the way those taxes are collected and what items are taxed, and I think we should. I don't think there's any reason that something like a shotgun with a 10-inch barrel should be an NFA item. You'll let me buy a Shockwave,
right. Yeah.
Right? Okay, so that's fine, but this isn't. You'll let me buy a SIG P365 that is just about as concealable a double-stack pistol as you can buy, but a pen gun's illegal. None of it has ever made sense to me. All of this weirdness, most of it at least, was in there because they were originally going to include handguns in the NFA, and that wound up getting stripped out, but they didn't strip out the language that was there to prevent people from turning long guns into handguns. And it at least feels like it's time to get rid of a bunch of this stuff.
Yeah, and a lot of the NFA was, I'm just going to say it, misguided. Absolutely misguided, going the wrong directions, as I think all gun control laws are often.
Oh, no, they're perfectly guided as far as the people who make them are concerned.
Oh, yeah, we want gun control.
Right. They don't want the plebes to have guns. They don't want the hoi polloi, the unwashed masses, to be able to defend themselves against, let's say, I don't know, maybe a tyrannical government or bullies.
Yeah.
We can say bullies.
Yeah, stuff like that. And yeah, the misguided NFA, it's been 70, 80 years now, something like that. It's too much time. It needs to be reformed. And maybe these disparate law enforcement agencies need to come into reform. And you're right. Yeah, this is a tax matter. You're the Treasury Department. Go collect your taxes, do that kind of stuff. If people refuse to pay them, we have an enforcement arm somewhere else that can go and do that and do the enforcement and make the arrest, and then someone else is making the case. It's, I still want there to be somebody doing the work of the DEA, because I want drug dealers taken off the streets, and I want drug traffickers jailed and arrested and things like that. How and where that works, maybe we don't know exactly right just yet, but there's a lot of this stuff that could be done better.